I think so.
Okay, we thought maybe we'd start with some introductions. I'm not sure everybody knows each other, and we might have some new SAC members, some DAC members here, so I am more than happy to kick us off. My name is Sherry Callback, and I'm the area superintendent for Southeast Schools, proudly serving Mitchell. Reverend Bibbs, may I throw it over to you next?
Can I pause you 1 second?
Sure.
We're going to start the recording, and I don't think that's happened quite
sure.
yet.
Oh, okay, so you see.
He said he was.
Matthew, how close are you to getting the audio and video going? It's going.
It's going. There we go. Okay, Reverend Bibbs, the floor is yours.
As she's kind of said, my name is Reverend Michael Bibbs. I'm co-chair for Mitchell, also bond liaison for Mitchell High School.
Hello, my name is Shelley Bibbs, party sad.
Go ahead, Terry.
Oh, Terry Blackwell, Principal Secretary.
George Smith, principal.
Rebecca Savilla Kenderdine, ELL SAC member.
And Melissa Webb, Mitchell co-chair, and Karen.
I'm Marion Clausen, I'm the deck chair.
Valerie Jordan, project manager, Mitchell High School.
I'm Nicole Ottmer. I know most of you, but it's nice to be here tonight. I'm the Chief of Strategy and Implementation, and today I'm wearing a little bit of a data hat. I'm Laura Jacobo, new parent coming in the fall. Wonderful. Do you want Frame or you want me to start?
I'll let you go ahead and start.
Okay.
I was going to say one more thing. We're missing Sharon Simpson, our DAC representative, and for the record, today is Thursday, April 23rd, 2026.
Okay, perfect. So we're here tonight. I know that there was interest in potentially sending a survey out to the staff, and hope to see. Hi, Sharon. Oh, there she is.
And there she is. She made it. Sorry if you had to hunt us down.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so we had just gone through introduction, Sharon, real quick, and I was just starting to frame up. And we're here tonight. I know that there was interest in potentially sending a survey to ask some additional questions. I wanted to just frame first from how the district uses surveys internally in the system. We know that survey fatigue is a really big thing. Our response rates usually are in the 40% on things, and then that's how we generate data. Each survey has its own threshold, but even when a department internally wants to send a survey, for example, if the area superintendents wanted to send a survey to the whole teacher group in any school, we have to have multiple checks on whether that's going to be able to happen because of survey fatigue. Surveys are something that are very important when we can use the data to be actionable and do something with them, but otherwise we don't want to take valuable teacher time to do a survey or get duplicative in any way with a survey because we want to use the information we're gathering first. So that's what brings us here tonight. We have a lot of celebrations that I'm going to start with in the Mitchell 5E survey, which is what we're here to talk about today. I'll go into the live dashboard in a minute. I'm going to let my computer charge for a minute, and then hopefully I can get it a little closer to me. But if you see me move back and forth, that's why, because it's dead from the day already, even though it's plugged in. It's one of those. The 5E, just what is our familiarity with 5E before I give us too much explanation?
I saw the 5E already at the last DAC meeting, and it showed Mitchell as a neutral, which I don't understand what that means. And then in the middle of the circle, it was green, so that's what I saw.
Absolutely.
And actually, I can clarify, Mitchell overall scored organized. Thank you. I was just opening it up to make sure I got the right language.
That's the circle in the middle, the green?
Not exactly.
Okay.
The circle in the middle. So this is actually really good information because it gives Nicole and I a little bit of kind of framework in terms of what do we need to help the group to understand a little bit about how the University of Chicago organizes the survey and what results do and don't mean. You get both an overall ranking. Mitchell scored in the top 2, so the highest ranking is well organized. The one just under that is organized, so actually one better than neutral, which would be kind of the middle one. And then there's 5 components that make up that overall ranking, and each of those can be strong, neutral, weak, very weak. And overall, Mitchell had 1 strong ranking and 4 neutral. But the overall ranking is that green organized. first time, George, correct me if I get this wrong, but first time in 5 years
Yeah.
that we've seen this strong of a result in the 5Es for Mitchell. So
Yeah.
really solid work.
Yeah, I'll just kind of piggyback off of that. It's our best 5E survey in 5 years. Ambitious instruction was green last year. It remained green, so that's showing sustainability and consistency over time. Also, the supportive environment, which is often red for most schools in the district, ours is neutral. So we're very proud about that. I will then also extend to say that in terms of this same measurement that is consistent across our system, not to speak poorly upon any other school, but we are second out of all comprehensive high schools on the 5E survey, right behind Coronado.
Can you tell us, I don't know if you know, what was the turnout on the
Yes,
survey?
I'm gonna go into
Okay.
that, yep, I'll give you that.
Okay.
So this is a super important statistic to know too, because the way that these blocks are set up are done so because these create the conditions for school improvement. So schools that are at or above benchmark on 3 or more of these, neutral is considered at benchmark, are 10 times more likely to have school improvement in data outcomes for students than a school that has any sustained weaknesses. So you don't see any on Mitchell's chart, but there's like this salmon color, this kind of orangey color, and then a very weak color that is a dark burgundy. The fact that there's none of those means this school is organized for improvement. We already know that Mitchell has a really strong plan with the state right now on the accountability clock. So these are all indicators that we are going to continue to see an upward trend in data at Mitchell, both in this cultural data and in the academic outcomes for students. So that's really strong. We scroll up a little bit to address your question. The other beautiful thing about 5Es is it's not just teachers responding, it's students and parents. It's an entire ecosystem here. We see that the response rate of students at Mitchell was 72%, teachers is 70% response rate, and parents is 23.4. That's just under the district average, which is 24.8. It is enough to report on those measures, so that's a beautiful thing. We can get data back. If that gets too low, we can't get data because the in size is just too small. Teachers across the district are about at a 73% response, so pretty much in line, and your students 72%, 75% across the district. So that is enough to return data on all the components of the 5Es for Mitchell. I'm going to come back into this live dashboard in just a minute, but I wanted to pull out some of the pieces that are really strong. The best news at Mitchell in this 5Es and what helped us get green in that center circle, the ambitious instruction, is students are feeling really great about the instruction at Mitchell. When we look at these measures, how much they are up, English instruction went up 22 points. I want to kind of normalize anything above 10, a plus 10, means it's significant gains and is putting us in that spot. If it's between a gain of like 1 and 9, that's pretty neutral. Like we wouldn't say that's a huge celebration, but we also wouldn't say it's declining. And actually we'd extend that down into if it's a negative, but it's only like -2, 3, 4, 5, we wouldn't say that's a sharp decline. We'd say it's kind of holding steady, just so we can normalize those. Math instruction, again, up 14 points as reported by students. Collaborative practices is falling in the strong range with a 77. And parent influence in the school is at a 65, which is considered strong. The most improved are on this side, again, that 22-point jump in English instruction is there. I love this one. Expectations for post-secondary options is up 15 points. So students understanding that Mitchell is right now and their future is in front of them and they have options and opportunities is a wonderful thing. Math instruction increased by 14 points. And academic press by 11. We can go into what that means, but it basically means that students feel some ownership of their own learning, like they have self-efficacy and can do hard things.
And the teachers have high expectations of them. The teachers are not setting a low bar. They believe that students at Mitchell can and will achieve, and students are hearing that and feeling that. And that's what that number really gets at.
Yeah, absolutely. So some key takeaways just from the bright spots, and then obviously there's some points too that we'll go into of where do we want to focus improvements, but instruction is a clear bright spot. student engagement is actually up across 3 years. So if we go dig into the trend line, we're seeing that consistently rise, which really matters here. Safety remains a critical concern, so that's one of the ones that we'll watch. And I'm going to talk to you about 5Es when we get to that one. It gets really down into the weeds, and we'll ask students very specific questions like, how do you feel in the hallway at Mitchell? And that's where they would answer, but we won't make a difference on the metric if all we do is address hallway behavior at Mitchell. We've got to address the large ecosystem there. Teacher leadership and relationships, there's a little bit of declining trust in that we're noticing. And I think we have some really clear reasons about why that is, especially when Sherry and I interface with the State Board of Education a lot, and Andy Swanson at the state. I know George works with him as well. When you're tightening systems to get these instructional outcomes, there is an opportunity cost to that. People have a little less autonomy in their classrooms, but the student outcome data is indicating we need to tighten systems to make sure we're getting outcomes for students. Professional development is down, however, it's still in the green range. And so again, we're tightening on PD. The offerings that we have are really on what the system needs to work on in accordance with a plan that is executed by the State Board of Education that they are checking in on every 3 months, or is it every quarter? 4 months. And family engagement is one that has sustained low across the 3 years. Its trend line is not going in the same direction, so that's one of the things that we would want to consider and talk about. These just show kind of from 2024 to 2026. You can see a trend line across what's strong, what's kind of remaining neutral, and then where we see some of the drops across that. And again, we'll go into the system and look at more of those. I want to go back to students though, because I don't think their voices are in rooms enough. They're not here with us tonight, but they left their voice on this survey. Again, it's just going to echo 71% of classrooms at Mitchell discuss connections to real life once or twice a week or more, students report. That really matters in their English instruction because they're starting to see it as meaningful and relevant to them, which usually increases student outcomes as well because they're more engaged in learning. In math instruction, I love seeing this. There's peer discussion, written explanations, and multi-step problem solving, which means they're getting that basic math knowledge and then able to apply it to unique situations. 94% to some of the points Sherry made agree that their teacher expects everyone to work hard. And 93% of students say the teacher wants better thinkers. So that's great that they're finding belief in each other. Students report being motivated, working hard, and finding topics very interesting and challenging in their day-to-day work. As we talked about before, that safety score, this is important to note. It's in that category of if you pull down those colors that we just talked about, and I talked about the salmon and the burgundy, this one falls more in that salmon color, even though it's up. It's only out of 24. So we gained 4 points, which is a really good thing, and it's still one of those spots where students are giving us a signal that like, hey, this doesn't feel so great to me. 19 feel very safe in hallway, and 19 feel very safe in bathrooms. The way this survey is conducted is to answer between safe and very safe is you wouldn't lump those categories together. They're very distinct and different, and we want more kids reporting very safe, not just safe. High school in the future importance, it went up 20 points this year, but it's still in a category where we would want to see that higher than 23 overall in their future success. Future centers, more engagements there will help with that. And then parent supportiveness, the total score is 33, but that did go up 27 points again. So you see these data are all going up, and they're still in a place where we want to go, what else can we do to invest, or where can we deepen what we're already doing to make those rise even more? I'm going to stop there for a minute. My dad's an auctioneer. I'm talking fast, so I will stop right there. Yeah, you get it. And I'm just going to take a couple questions here before we go into the live tool.
Can I point out one thing just real quickly on the safety one too?
Yeah.
You know, those 2 pieces that you pulled out, yes, hallways and bathrooms we're continuing to work on. I don't ever want to say unsupervised. Kids are never unsupervised at school. Unstructured places. But in the classroom, we're seeing different things. That's where kids aren't going to report that I feel so much better about my English instruction or my math instruction or what my teachers expect of me if they feel unsafe in the classroom. So while we're seeing really great gains in terms of what kids experience in a classroom with a teacher who cares about them and wants the best from them, that maybe is not yet carrying over as much as we want it to in hallways or in the bathrooms. Is that fair to say,
That's
Nicole?
absolutely
Okay.
correct, yeah.
I'll also say though, all of that's true, safety did go up.
It did.
Yes.
Safety went up, it's just not it didn't go up exponentially like Ms. Ottemer was saying in terms of to see those really big increases. But it actually did, it's the highest it's been in 3 years.
So there's this where you can see the actual questions and you see where the bar is.
We're gonna show the dashboard in a minute.
Yeah, because that when the safety one is a good one to see, because then you see that there's a lot of really positive answers in Mitchell that are there, and this is just the way the system reacts. How does this? Because you needed them in the highest category to get the points up, but you see that they're really not there. You have them in the second highest category, but your lower ones are just on par with like kind of what they call average in the system, where it's so they're kind of in the normal kind of range. So it's not that Mitchell's not safe there. So I think it's actually a really good result to see those little bars with the little black part that shows what they would expect for a green
They're
tag.
not in the neutral, they're in the two categories beneath that, which is why they flag on these types of reports. It's still true, there's positive momentum that we would want to build on, is what we'll say, and they're also not in neutral or strong yet.
You mentioned that professional development is down. What does that mean
It
when you
means,
said that?
Yeah. So the overall score for that, Nicole, can you scroll back to this one? I want to misspeak.
Yeah. I actually am gonna scroll down, because that's a teacher reported one, and it's, let me see where I might go into the system real quick.
Okay.
Right there. 84% agree PD is connected to the school improvement plan. However, it dropped from 79 to 62.
So still in the strong category, even at a 62, it's in the top 2 categories. Most folks are ranking it strong. Last year at 17 points higher, people may have been ranking it very strong instead.
Why?
So I think that's, the question with any set of data is a survey, a set of data, anything like that, it doesn't lie, and it doesn't tell us the whole story. The good news there is every professional development session that the district does also has a survey that goes along with it, a very quick piece, and we'll dig into that data to figure it out. It's interesting, this year we have switched to a model here and in connection with Swigert and Galileo, where those 3 schools are doing a lot of their professional development together, and we have teachers leading that professional development. Some of what we found is that teachers love learning from each other. That gets very high marks every time, and it is different to teach a room of adults than it is to teach a room of children. There's great research that supports that. And so one of the things that we're working with our professional development director on for next year is, as we have teachers teach professional development sessions, we, in the PD office in Central, need to do a little support with them ahead of time so that they have those adult learning strategies built into the PD that they're
Are
giving
the
to their
teachers
colleagues.
here doing professional
Yes.
development? They're the ones doing it.
So
They don't
here,
have the coaches, or
Swigert,
do-
Galileo.
So is Mitchell working together with another school to collaborate on
With Swigert and
professional
Galileo.
development?
Yes.
Oh, it's not a high school, it's a middle school.
Right now it's with Swigert and Galileo.
So those are middle schools, okay,
Yes.
not high schools.
With Mitchell.
With Mitchell,
Yes.
yeah,
The whole,
All
like,
three.
satellite.
It's the
Yeah.
feeder system.
yeah. No, I thought maybe it was a high school that they were working together with.
Not currently. But that is a strategy that we've taken away from some of what this data is telling us, is if we're going to put teachers in front of each other for professional development opportunities, and I think we'll continue to do that because it is very well received, there's also some ways that we can support those teachers that are leading that to make their sessions even more engaging, more relevant, even a little differentiated for the group that they may have, because they'll probably have a mix of middle school teachers and high school teachers, or different departments.
So let me normalize the data for 1 second too. One of the things I wanna say is,
I still have questions.
yep, one of the things I wanna be clear about though, if you look at this is 3 years of trend data. And so what you see is last year, 52% were in agree. This year, 65% are in agree. So what actually changed is your number of people that were strongly agreeing are now agreeing. It's not that they moved all the way over to strongly disagree. They moved one category over, that they're agreeing instead of strongly agreeing. Now, when you look at data like this, 5E pulls each of those as a unique category. It doesn't lump what some surveys do of like, well, they agreed, so all that gets lumped together. No, they treat those as, if you're willing to say agree, that's a distinctly different decision than strongly agree. But I think the important thing to look at in this data set is it didn't be a shift all the way to people saying, I disagree with the PD.
Right.
However, you also do need to look at the other end, the opposite end, that you have more people strongly disagreeing than you have simply agreeing.
It's a
So
percentage.
you have to look
Yeah.
at both
Yeah,
ends.
absolutely.
So
And so it increased by 7%.
I just need to interject here and excuse myself for a little bit. I had no participation in scheduling this meeting or the senior parent meeting that's happening in a few minutes. And so because I wear two hats, I'm off to the senior meeting, parent hat always first. I hope to be back. But I also am gonna say, in case I don't make it, which at this point I believe I will, but I also just wanna say that I believe the intention, I know the intention of the SAC wanting to do this survey is not for survey fatigue. It is to be an involved participatory SAC with the Mitchell community. And I think it is nothing but positive for us to want to make personal relationship connections with the Mitchell staff and figure out, and to ask them some real, like, you might say lay questions from lay people, instead of a political or higher educational place or system. Hopefully we're folks that they feel like they can connect with. So I just want to put on the table, in case I don't have a chance later, that we as the SAC just wanted to connect with the Mitchell staff and really just, like, in plain terms, be like, what's going on? How can we help you? And not to burn them out. And so, continue on, evaluate the 5E. We're well aware that the 5E is out there. Several of us have already seen the data. Yes, it looks fairly good. But I will also say we don't feel like there's a problem with us wanting to personally connect with the Mitchell staff and just support them. So it's off to you, Mr. Bibbs. I'm stepping out for a few minutes. I thought Miss Jordan was going to this meeting too, are you not?
I am not.
She's
No,
here.
that's what the Future Center people told me they thought you were coming. So,
Well, I wasn't invited, so.
okay. All right,
Okay.
I'll be back in a few.
Get the door.
Yep.
We do.
So, I have a question. So how is the survey administered? Is it through the English classes or through the math classes? What is the,
George, did your
Format.
students take the survey during an advisory period, or where was the time in their schedule that they took their portion of that?
Instructional block.
Okay. Rebecca, did you have more questions?
Well, I'm still not getting the answer that I'm seeking. I'm trying to figure out what is the cause of the professional development numbers going down. I mean, is there a question? I mean, all it says is strongly agree, you know, it just gives us that data, and that doesn't tell me anything. That's where I get confused with when we want to do a survey with the staff here. It's not to inundate them with more questions. It's just basically to provide support to the staff here in the school, and so that the principal can receive that information and let us know how can we provide support to the staff. And the reason I'm saying this is because There have been staff members that have left before the school year has ended. And I have spoken with some of those staff members. They don't tell me reasons why, because we don't have a survey to give them or ask them the questions. And they don't want to be retaliated against by us knowing who the person is that's giving us that information. So this is not to say that principal is not doing his job. He has a lot on his plate. I get it. I work part-time and it's still a lot of work for me, and I'll be 70 years old this year. So, so basically it's just to provide, so how can we interject with the staff here at the school to provide support? We have an ELL department here at Mitchell High School. And when we have our SAC meetings, in our bylaws it said we should have an influx of different diverse people that work in the school attending the SAC meetings, and we don't have that. You know, I'm here, even though I work part-time at an elementary school, I was working at Palmer when I retired, but we don't have that diverse population in the SAC, and that's what we're trying to see. How can we support you? What can we do for you? What kind of assistance do you need? Do you need us to help get parents to engage in the SAC? Because that's another job that we're supposed to be doing at Mitchell, is trying to get more parents to participate and be engaged in the SAC so that they can be involved in what's happening at Mitchell High School. I don't know how many families look at the newsletter. I mean, I have a hard time surfing the web. Never did like the computers, but I learned how to surf. I learned everything about it. But it's difficult to surf and find the information you're looking for when you're on the web, the Mitchell newsletter. It's a lot of stuff that's put on there and that, you know, they have to read. But how many parents are accessing that newsletter? And that's where we're coming from. We're not trying to do anything. We did check with the principal to see, can we do this? In the bylaws, it doesn't say we can't. The CRS doesn't say we can't. Actually, it advises us to do surveys for staff members and only staff members. We don't want to survey the parents. We don't want to survey the students. Yeah, we just want to see where the staff need help, support, whatever. We're willing to help. That's it.
And most of the people around this table already have seen the 5E data. And from year to year, we see the 5E data. And every year, when there's something, we ask the question. Somebody around the table asks the question, why is it this way? Why are these data this way? So this is a great quantitative survey. We want to get to qualitative data, qualitative anecdotal information, which is not here. And so that's what we're after.
Typically, 5E, you would say, when you get one set of data, you're right. The best data set from a survey should lead you to do one thing, ask more questions.
Exactly.
And the way we do that, a metric way to do that in the system would be with a focus group. And we should not be outsourcing that to community members, to be very clear, because the person who can make the changes is the internal system.
Exactly.
When you say about like parents participating in SAC, you have, or the parent engagement, you have multiple data points on that. It's a body of evidence. You have your SAC meetings, who's coming. You have your community events, who's coming. You have data in the 5E that says this is not the family partnership piece here. You have multiple data points there. That is a perfect avenue for the SAC to invest in and not ask more survey questions maybe, but design more things that could start to move toward that. When you talk about PD, especially at Mitchell, PD is going to be governed by multiple plans already because it's on the state accountability clock. So people and how they feel about it matters, and there's also accountability metrics that we must drive toward. The State Board of Education approved the plan and we have to work it.
And you're
that is required.
You're working it, and what we're doing is ancillary. It's ancillary to it, and it's beneficial. When were you in the classroom?
Oh, I've been for 20 years.
Okay, so you remember when you were in the classroom, perhaps you just went through a survey and ticked the things, and you were a little bit irritated that nobody asked you a particular question, to get the input that you wanted to give. And I don't know if you worked for a particular principal or if you were in a school where you didn't feel as though, this is not anything negative toward Mr. Smith. I want to be completely clear about that. But you know that there are colleagues who feel more comfortable talking with their immediate supervisor or the principal, and there are colleagues who don't feel as comfortable doing that. So it's this is an informal survey because we put it together. It's not something that's sanctioned by, the University of Chicago or University of Virginia. It's us. It's we who are doing that.
Can you chime in from the DAC leadership perspective? Because we had a conversation about surveys from the DAC.
The point of this that you made earlier, Nicole, is simply like, if you're looking for information, what can you actually be doing with this? And that's the
Giving
point.
it to him.
And that is this. So what is it? Is it your job to say we want to see this information, or this is more of like, here is an issue that we want to be addressed, and that's what you push for when it comes to the school improvement plan. So, and then you want to see through that there are action steps or strategies and action steps connected to this.
Both things.
And this might be something that you guys see something or are onto something that is not covered because in the plan that Mitchell has, like Nicole already said, is really strict because it's a state mandated plan. There is not that much wiggle room, but maybe it doesn't hit it all.
Exactly.
And there's maybe something missing. So what I'm hearing is the issue is that the survey is not the way to get where you want to go. So the question is, where do you want to go? What is it that you need happening? What do you want to see happen at the school?
Well, what we want to see happening is to have the answers to why are people disagreeing and strongly disagreeing?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that. Mr. Smith doesn't know that.
Nicole, I'm
The answer's
wondering-
not going to fall from the sky.
You're right, it's not. But I'm wondering, to get the answers that you're seeking in a way that is valid and reliable, and that we can use, because truthfully, I'm going to be honest, I am very nervous about using any data from a survey that may or may not be valid and reliable.
But what
To
does it
get-
make you nervous? I don't understand that.
Well, hang on. To get to a point where we're gathering the answers to some of these questions about why, is there someone, internal or external, that has the statistical knowledge to understand how to put together that information that could run a focus group for us?
There is, so that's
But
often.
sorry. I'm so sorry. But if you run a focus group, people's identities are going to be front and center. This would be anonymous, a survey would be anonymous, so that no possible retaliation can happen
That's
from
a
any
signal of a
level.
way bigger problem. If we're concerned that there's retaliation, that's a
Well,
way
it
bigger
should
signal.
be in the
We want
district,
people
though.
to come into
Well,
a
yeah.
small focus group.
I would be, I mean, as a new person coming in, and I'm sorry, I don't know, I just feel that, yes, if there is that concern where the teachers cannot go to their,
Anybody, and it doesn't
Yeah, it doesn't have to be-
necessarily mean Mr.
right,
Smith would be
correct. But I mean,
retaliatory.
for me, I would say, well, why are we not doing focus groups or questions and answers at their staff meetings? Like, why are we, is there concern of retaliation? And I mean, is there
I don't know,
because-
any educator around the table might speak up, but, I was in the classroom for 33 years, and I know that there were plenty of people who would not speak up because of some sort of an unconscious bias that was outside of them, or some bias that was within them. Psychology is interesting.
yeah.
Our job should
Anonymous?
be,
Yes.
yeah, those are anonymous.
I have a
It's easy
question.
to get quantitative data.
5Es.
And we're talking about 5Es, and then SAC had wanted to possibly give, and I think you've tried to speak several times.
I'm
Did you
sorry,
want-
I keep interrupting.
No, it's not you.
Oh, I've been hearing, asking the question. If you're feeling, this is me on a personal level, if I'm feeling that my job is pressured in any kind of way, or whatever, I'm going to be hesitant. But what I found out, and I'm not saying that everybody is available, but I come to the school, and Priscilla Smith allows me to come into the school. I might even go in the classroom. I'll talk to a teacher personally. What can we as a SAC do to help? You might get more, and sometimes you may not get all the results that you want, but I find it more on a personal level to talk to them, like you said, even a small focus group or something like that, because, or if it's a SAC, but I believe transparency is better than trying to, that's just me on a personal level, trying to go anonymous, but I want to get down to the root. So if I don't know what's going on, I can't help you. But if I know who it is, we can find out and get to a root, then we can work out and get a solution. I don't want to be a hindrance. I want to be an asset. And so that's what, I'm not saying nothing is wrong with the survey, but then I just believe in transparency. I've always been I want to know if there's a problem and get to the root of the problem, rather than, like, if I got to worry about anonymous or something or somebody reacting, then there's something wrong with that. You're never going to get to the root.
No, you will get to the root.
Okay, I'm a teacher, I'm an art teacher here.
Art?
Art.
What's your name?
Oh, Lily Spire.
Thank you, Lily.
Yes, you're welcome,
Hi, Sharon.
and thanks for having me. But I am CTE, so I have my teaching license, and I have the credentials to teach concurrent enrollment and the CTE. But the survey, as I take it, and I've seen the numbers or the color change, we're no longer in red. Mr. Smith, and I will say this freely, he is not a man that's going to be pushed around. He stands up for what is right. I went to him for a lot of concerns or things that, I want an answer, and he gives it to me straight up. Sometimes it feels because he is that stand-up man, which I have never, and I will say this, never met a man that is stand-up and believes in his belief. So I think the intimidation that people have, because, and it's not, I'm fearful of him, I just know when he speaks, I'm going to listen, I'm going to try my best to give him what he wants. Because, if there's only one captain to the ship, and he's the captain, and I'm his passenger, so I'm trying to abide by. But I think with the other teachers, sometimes they want to push, and they want him to break, and they want us to break, which is a lot for me to endure as well, because I believe in him, and what he does and how he says it. So the 5E, maybe they're retaliating too, and saying I can voice my opinion by being negative towards this man and what his belief system is. Because if you don't have the same belief system, then they don't need to be here.
So,
That's
I
what
hear
I
you. And so when we hear you, we're saying what you say is valid. Your feelings are valid. Which then brings me to say, Sherry, let's call that. Sherry. Thank you, Sherry. Because I'm 70 years old.
Are we seeing everybody's age now?
This is not very So, when people express their feelings, those are valid. And, how people feel in a working, learning environment is important.
Yeah.
The well-being of the staff influences the performance of the students.
Yes.
So where we are now might be really good, but man, if you were really sort of embracing what is underneath somebody's discontent, hearing that person, helping that person to feel much more comfortable, that is going to reflect on the students. That's going to reflect on their performance. It all matters.
And I don't think anyone disagrees with that. I
So-
think it's who's responsible for doing it and the method of that.
And
I think
where
that's the piece that's in question.
I should clarify too. When I say valid, I don't mean that anyone around this table or anyone on the staff has feelings that aren't valid.
Right.
I mean statistically valid and reliable. and there are,
Qualitative surveys are the most difficult to interpret. They're the
Yes.
most difficult to interpret because you can misinterpret them very easily.
yes.
And we have to be really clear that you can make bias into questions. And so when you ask a qualitative question, there are data scientists that spend a long time on figuring out, when I ask this question, am I actually going to get to what I want to know? Which is why we use something like this. And yet, this isn't the end all be all. We should be getting a body of evidence. But I would ask again, whose responsibility is that? Because who can actually change that?
So it's part of the SAC's responsibility to cull information.
To look at the information.
Not well, if you look at the CRS, it gives us broad opportunities to gather information. We're not restricted to just what the district wants us to look at. And
maybe the foundation of it all, we're under stress because we're at the turnaround.
yeah,
And we're all feeling it,
yeah,
you know? And to uphold the standards of, you know, and the student outcomes I take it to heart. And it's hurtful because, you know, I give it all. You know, and it's like, give me feedback, where can I get feedback, who's going to give me the right feedback, but does it feel good to know we're in the status? It doesn't feel good,
no,
you know what I mean? So I think some of this, maybe data is reflected on the pressure of what the school is going through, which our students do feel that as well, you know, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate. So that's going to affect their student outcome too, and their testing, and they feel safe, and, you know, everything snowballs into that. So I don't think, in my opinion for that, when I even answered the question, it's, can people differentiate the two feelings? One for leadership and one for the turnaround. There's two different, so they're mixing it up and putting it into this complex, angry, you
And,
know.
so.
if I may say, I actually, because my son has disabilities, right? He has Down syndrome, so he's coming into the SSN, Mitchell SSN classrooms. But I researched several of the high schools and put permits for several of the high schools. Mitchell is our home school, but where we live is over there by Flynn Ridge, super close to Doherty, very close to Coronado. And I've been talking to Sherry for years already, I think.
Since Jeremiah was in
Since
elementary
Jeremiah
school.
was in elementary school. And thinking of what high schools. When I was looking into coming to Mitchell, and I came with one of our teachers from Russell Middle School, and she said, Laura, let's just go and ask questions and ask anything that you want to do. I did 3 tours, 2 by myself, talking to several teachers, one with my son. And after even the 2 other high schools calling and saying, we're accepting Jeremiah into our program, when can we come in? And I said, no, I feel really, really happy with Mitchell. And I have to say, I was very impressed with the teachers. I know I met you. I think you met Jeremiah. I think
I know Jeremiah.
Art,
Yeah.
art is one of his best subjects. But I feel that, yes, there's room for improvement, of course, but I think every high school, I mean, I tour and I'm very involved with the, you know, we've been doing SAC, we've been doing PTA for years and years together. And I'm very involved with the committee for special education at the district level. I did one of the PD days in March for the district. And so I feel that as involved as I am, and as the high schools, I was really impressed with how Mitchell is going. And so I know that, yes, there is, of course, room for improvement, but I feel that that maybe talking more and maybe getting some focus groups, if that's what we need, right? I mean, but I feel that you guys are in a really good place.
Some of us have asked. Rebecca has heard people, I've heard people, other people around the table have heard people, and we can convey that information, but will that information be acted upon because it's coming through an individual or two? The survey would give broader opportunity for voices.
Do you think that a survey would be a 100% participation?
It's, 5E is not 100%.
Well, no, I
participation.
understand, but I mean, if we wanna not
We
go
would
through
get more
this,
than one or
we would
two,
want-
you know, we would not hear, well, how many
You
people
asked the
said
question, why is it that, the survey, the teachers feel that they're gonna be retaliated
Correct.
against? Okay. All I hear from staff members in District 11, I have 2 more years to go. I am not going to stir the pot. This is what I hear from staff members, because they don't come out, they don't feel like they can go to their principal and feel comfortable talking to their principal. Not just because of retaliation, I want to keep my job. That's all I want to do. I got 2 more years and I'm going to retire. And is that good for the kids?
No, of course.
It's not good for the kids.
Not for the employees either. I mean, I guess
No,
we wouldn't
no.
want that either. But.
So that's what I hear all the time, because me, I'm a truthful person. I want to hear the truth. I want to share the truth. Give that information where it needs to be heard, because that's all I believe in, is the truth. We don't need to be afraid of the truth. We need to act upon that truth and do something different or communicate with the staff and the principal. That's it. The information is for him to outreach his staff and talk with his staff. It's not for us.
As an employee here, I'm just gonna, I need to interject, because I think when you say I have 2 more years here, I have 5 more, that's a personal choice that people make as well.
But it's a lot.
I don't know that it's a lot in this building, but.
She's not saying in this building.
Okay,
It's
but
the
that's what
district. I said
for
the
me,
district.
this building is what's most important, so that's what I'm speaking on. And I know that my choice is, if I don't see eye to eye with George, I go to George. That's the person that I am. And with any other staff member or anyone whom I'm interacting with, if I have an issue, I go to that person. I don't need the SAC to speak for me. I don't need the SAC to send anything to George for me, because I go to George myself. And so I think that a lot of times people hide behind surveys, right? And it depends on when you administer that survey. So if you administered a survey at Mitchell High School today, you're going to get teachers who have gotten a notice of INR, right? So they're going to be upset. And their responses would be different now than it would have been at the beginning of the year or mid-year. So I think when you're looking at those qualitative surveys, that's something that you have to take into account. And you're hearing one side of the story. You don't know what actions have been taken. I've worked here for 4 years. I've watched Mr. Smith. I look at his calendar. I know how much he meets with people, and I know how forthright he is with this staff, and sometimes that doesn't feel good. Sometimes it feels like, okay, oh my God, I messed up, right? But then for me, and I would say for the majority of people in here, it is a time to be reflective and understand he has a job to do. He has pressures. We are under, the watchful eye of the state. We've made improvements. And with professional development, our professional development has become more targeted because we are concentrating in certain areas. And so the choice for professional development probably has dwindled a little bit. I would say from my perspective, as someone who's in this building pretty much every day, that's a reason for it going from strongly agree to agree, right? I don't have as many choices for PD because we're concentrating on academic rigor, improvement, and instruction. So again, when you look at qualitative data, all of those discussions come into, that discussion comes into play. There are a lot of variables in there that are unlike when you're doing a quantitative survey, right? And I'm sure you probably have already said that, Nicole, but as someone who's in the building,
No, that's super helpful context.
as someone who's in the building, for me, if I got a qualitative survey, I probably wouldn't participate.
So you don't have to. Nobody's
I understand
nobody's
that.
gonna make you.
I understand that, but just like you want to be heard, I want to be heard too.
Exactly.
So I don't need for you to tell me what I can and can't do, because I know that I don't have to take that survey. But I also think that to push it and to say that you've heard this from this person or that person, that to me is a few people versus the entire group. So if you guys want to do a focus group with everyone in this building, I would say call us all in.
let us be honest and right,
Well, what we
instead
do,
of hiding behind writing
that's
something
not-
on a survey where people don't know who I can say what I have to say.
you're a brave person. Everybody's not as brave.
That's a choice people make.
Well, I still have a right to be heard if I am a less brave person.
And they
Do
could
I
do that
not?
right now without a survey, right?
But
They
we
could write
don't.
something down.
But
Well,
where are
If
they
you didn't
gonna
want
do
us to
that?
do this, you should have
Where are they
said
gonna
no.
do that?
Because this meeting is not gonna get
I can
anywhere
tell
with the survey.
I got a lot to say, but
The
I'm just
answer
sitting
is no.
quiet. I'm just sitting quiet. I got a lot to say.
So it's not
Say.
around this table, and it's not around this table, some of the comments that have been made seem as though you're understanding that we're trying to attack, and we're not. We have been trying to gather information since year one of getting 5E data. It's like, okay, so why is this? We want to be able to help. You know, I'm out of the classroom, but I've been in the classroom for 3 decades. And every year I would give my students, all of my students, my survey, anonymous, fill it out, let me know, just be honest, don't put your name on it. And I would ask the same kinds of questions that we're trying to get information about here. You know, it's like, why do you feel this way? You know, what improvements can I make? Do you feel comfortable here? Why do you not? Da. And, you know, and I would say to my students, I do not ask a question where I'm not prepared for the answer. So, you know, and if I might have a little sting to my heart, I have a little sting to my heart, you know, but I want that information so that I can know how to proceed with my students in an even better manner. You know, we're not trying to attack Mr. Smith. How many times have you heard that, Mr. Smith, that, you know, we're on your
I've heard it
side.
quite a bit. I've heard it quite a bit.
We're on your side.
that's not the premise I'm framing the conversation from. I want to be very clear that where the district's standpoint is coming from in this is we have to be really clear on roles and responsibilities and what you can actually control from a SAC versus what a principal has responsibilities to do. I'll be the first to say the principal in the building better stay attuned to their culture. George knows that. He does that every day. He takes meetings on his calendar. Sometimes that's going to be harder. Sometimes it's going to be softer. But at the end of the day, George has the accountability and the responsibility here. What the SAC has is, and I'll look at statute with you all day long. We can talk through where you think it says something different than what I think it says. But the input, feedback, and recommendations are what the SAC gets to do. It gets to take a look at everything that we already offer, and then you can offer, hey, George, I think you should do a survey. I think you should do a focus group. I think this would help Mitchell. But the statute does not say the SAC is going to start to take accountability for doing the things that the school should be doing.
I'm not gonna say anything about that.
And I think
Because I-
being in management myself in the past is not everybody's gonna like how I manage. But you know that when it comes down, you have those rebellious employees that they're not gonna do this. It's like, my answer is, you're gonna go before I go. So it's a choice. You know what I mean? And that's, Smith is under the gun, and to turn around, does it feel good? I'll repeat that. It doesn't feel good, does it, where we're at and all that we have to endure, but we're enduring it. And, you know,
Lily,
we're performing the best we can, you know, for all of us, you know, and some will work harder than others, because that's just how life goes, you know. We have the workers, the ones that go beyond, and the ones that do the bare minimum. So those are the ones that he will have the decision to have to make, to who stays on board, who has the same values, who has the same fight. And that's where we're at, where we're fighting for this school.
I'm an alumna, I'm fighting for this school.
Yeah, good.
You're an alumna, you're fighting for this school.
Yeah, and I would hope, I mean, I don't know obviously Mr. Smith, but I would hope that, that he answers questions. Because for me, I mean, looking at the 5Es, my one thing is, why do only 19% of the students feel safe in the bathroom? Has there been incidents? Not to say that it doesn't happen in every school, right? I mean, but I would like to know a little bit more and dig a little bit more into that. Like, okay, so we have 81% of students saying, you know, so I would like to, I would hope and again, not knowing him, I would hope that I can come back to him as a parent and say, can we sit down for a little bit and have a meeting and just ask, like, hey, that's gonna be me, because I mean, I'm very vocal.
You are.
I want to
But-
go to the last 5 minutes. I'm sorry, I
Yes.
didn't mean to cut
No,
you
no,
off.
no, please, yes, no,
Okay.
that was me.
In the last 5 minutes, I think the clarity here needs to be, what were you hoping to accomplish with the survey? And what's the other way to do that? Because the SAC sending a survey is not what is going to happen moving forward. And so what can we do? What information are you trying to get from that we can find a venue to get that and still move forward, but make sure that the school is following through with their responsibility here?
How about if we add at the
I'm sorry. I just have one question. I wasn't sure. Are one of you the superintendent's designee for this meeting? Were
I
you?
am.
You are.
Yeah.
You're the designee. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, you can follow
Which
up
one?
with him. He knows in here and I'll brief him afterwards.
No, I wasn't asking because of that.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to know.
And I would say what Nicole and I are here to do as well is to ensure that we're following board policy. There is board policy around this.
We have it.
And
We have the
are-
board policy.
And George as well. We are bound by that board policy.
Well, it's statute, it's everything, and it is also that, like, you could collect qualitative data, qualitative especially, you're gonna ask 15 people, you're gonna get 15 different answers, and then what are you gonna do? You're still at a point where you have to interpret that data. George, living in the culture, running all the things he runs, could target those questions differently and could do it in a PLC way or in a focus group or in a piece where they could still write anonymously and put sticky notes on something. But I think what we're getting to is, like, we want to figure out what we need to ask to do something to get to the next layer of data should leave you asking next questions. To your point, like, we could go ask a next question of students too. We could dig into one of these elements and say, we want to understand more about that. What are the next actions we're going to take? But what we're not going to do is dictate to the school, this is the action you're going to take because it's the one I want. The school has to look at the cohesive plan and say, what information do you need? Now let me find the venues to gather that. And I think we're in, like, a hard, fast, polarized place that we don't need to be in.
Which didn't need to happen in the first place. So I need to ask you, Mr. Smith, what made you say to Rebecca, yes, you can do a survey?
Because of exactly what Lily said, I don't have anything to hide.
Exactly.
I have nothing to hide. See, and like I said in the last SAC meeting that Nicole and Sherry weren't part of, they didn't need to be part of it. I told you that, and that's recorded too, so we can go back. And I appreciate, I'm a vocal parent. I'm going to be in here. Great. I want more parents to be in my office, actually. Parent-teacher conferences are happening right now. So we love that. I was talking to parents at the baseball game before I came in here. I said yes to Rebecca because there is nothing to hide here.
Exactly.
And so I don't, but I think what you have to understand, Sharon, in particular, is teachers are now starting to feel attacked by members of the SAC in defense of me, which I haven't asked anybody to feel that way. You can look aghast if you want to. I'm just telling you.
No, my
Can I
question
finish?
was
Can I finish?
how?
Can I finish?
Mm-hmm.
I have members of this staff that are committed to the students and to the success of the school, coming to my defense, which I didn't ask for them to do because they're starting to feel attacked by members of the SAC.
But how?
You have to answer that question for yourself. Like Nicole just said, we're in this, like, polarized space. You just asked me the question. I said yes to Rebecca because there's nothing to hide. I'm like probably too transparent. I've been told I'm too transparent.
And he said he wanted to work
And
it
this
out.
is the thing. So I said, please, let's do it, and just send me the draft before you send it out. You did. It was late. Somehow, somebody on the SAC released it to the superintendent. And now we are here. I
So,
don't know who it is. But, and like I said at the last SAC meeting, once again, it's recorded.
yeah.
So anybody that goes back and watch this film in the future, go back and watch the last SAC meeting, and I said this twice now. Whoever released the survey to the superintendent stubbed their own toe, because then I would have been in trouble for releasing a survey without permission from the board. If that's what the statutes say, I really haven't gotten into it that deep.
But I think based upon that, I just want to simply say, and I thank you for choosing Mitchell, by the way.
Yes.
Anybody that wants to come and ask me questions, I'm going to give you an open and honest answer. And sometimes it might be too open and honest, but I'm going to just shoot straight with you. And part of the reason is because I've been doing this fight, and it is a fight, and I appreciate the fact that Lily said that. I've been doing this fight for 5 years. And I take great offense to somebody that says the 5Es is fairly good. We're second in the district on the 5E survey that has been a continuous, uniformed survey that has historic trend data that is reliable from a university in a state and in a city that has had similar consequences for poor education in similar demographics. And we criticize that survey, but we have 5 years of trend data for that. And Mitchell is the second highest survey in the district in 26, and it's fairly good.
So
I'm not done. So then when we analyze that, we want to find more. So now the staff that's invested, which is the vast majority, not the small minority that's upset for maybe they weren't doing a quality job, because newsflash, there's not every educator is great.
right.
So, like you said, there's going to be some sting when we have to remain focused because of a state pathway plan, a unified school improvement plan. Oh, quality of professional development goes down at the expense of what? English and math instruction and academic press going up by more than double digits? Oh, that's a good trade-off for me. So I don't know. Like I said, the SAC stubbed their toe by releasing the survey to Superintendent Gall, which I don't need to know who did that. I really don't care. But like I said, if that didn't happen, the survey would have probably been released and we would be here tonight because there's nothing to hide. But now that we're at this point, we do need to follow state statute and board policy, and we'll do so. But I think this SAC needs to be very careful because the polarizing effect is a result of how we show up to these meetings and using the language and the tone and the pointed questions and this and this, and it comes off as being very antagonistic versus collaborative. I'm done now. So I think we got to be very careful about that.
So I don't remember from whose mouth it came, but it was not my mouth that said that the results are fairly good. If I were to think about...
Alyssa said that.
Thank you.
Before she left.
If I were to think about this, the 5E survey on a continuum, I think that really good would be all greens. Even, that's the ultimate, is all greens. And then a step below
talking about
that.
a turnaround school that has been a
I
turnaround
know,
for over
I
7
know,
years.
I
And
know,
instead of
but
saying
no, but-
congratulations to
No.
the 2 ladies and everybody that works here, we're saying it's not good enough.
We're-
That is extremely frustrating.
I understand your frustration, and I also...
I don't think you do.
No, well,
I don't think you do.
that's
actually.
a perception.
And you have perceptions as well.
It's a perception,
Yeah.
and it is not the intention.
Yeah, well, that's how it comes off.
It's not the intention.
Yeah.
So,
These
I'm
ladies and
100%
many more
happy.
that are out there talking to parents right now have busted their humps
nobody's
for 5
saying they haven't.
years to get a
Nobody's
fairly
saying
good
that
5E
they
survey.
haven't.
Instead of saying congratulations staff and maybe baking a cake and bringing a cake and some cookies and saying good job, we're sitting here and want to find out more about why things are wrong.
Maybe this is a good time for us to identify some next steps and start to pull some things together.
I absolutely agree. I think in this conversation, I don't get to attend the Mitchell SAC often. I've seen email traffic because of this meeting, and what I could say is there is a very divisive, polarizing piece going on in the SAC that is making a turnaround school harder. And that is not something that anyone needs in this environment. What we actually need is to have support. We found places in this survey already. I took notes when you said it back. Parents participating in the SAC. what a great one to dig in on and do something about it and bring positivity.
And we're glad
Instead
we're
of bringing pieces to each other that continue to be polarizing. That is a great place where we want partnership in a SAC. It's a huge part of the charge. In DAC and SAC, let's be clear, that whole statute has the word accountability in it to say, are you being transparent? Mitchell's being transparent with all their data. We don't need to go searching for conspiracy theories. Then what we need to do is come back and say, the very next thing we're going to do is dig into a problem and solve it. Everyone around this table wants the school to be better. We found a problem. Parents aren't participating. Let's solve it.
But why not?
We don't
You
even
gotta
need
ask
to
the
know why
question.
not. Why do we need to ask
Well,
that?
let's see, my car is not moving very well. Do I not need to find out why it's not moving
Why don't
very
we
well?
start from a place of like, they're not participating, here's something we're gonna do. Let's have a bias toward action, let's do something instead of talk about it. We're talking about this again, we talked about it last meeting, we can talk ourselves blue in the face and guess what? Nothing's gonna get done.
Or we can go out and do home visits and greet the parents who are here tonight and bring them in and conference with them about their students' progress. Sorry, Lily, I interrupted you and I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. I think,
don't know who sent it out.
as Smith says, was it 57% that we have a Hispanic speaking families in our district?
55%.
So that I identify as
Another barrier.
a barrier and an opportunity
Yeah.
that we need to cross that
Yeah.
to have translators and more people communicate. In my class, I have every student of every level in there, but when I have to text or type to a student that's Spanish speaking so he can relay or she can relay what I'm saying, it does not my English to his Spanish, there's a barrier. So I ask, comprende? I know a little bit, and they say, no, miss, and I'm like, okay, let me try this. So, and then I try it to cut that barrier.
Yeah.
But the barrier is the Hispanics that we need to focus on more so. But we also need to have where it's more relaxed in this environment here, because everybody's feeling that stress and the pressure, and the people that are fighting is that we're fighting the battle. You know what I mean? And when we get that 5E that is not in red, because that is not our color, and I'll keep saying it, is that we made progress. You know what I mean? And communicating and talking to those people. Take a survey, even for the other surveys that we have. But to cross those barriers, it's not the school, it's what we're dealt with. And the bathroom issue, I was in high school. My family is a mixed culture. So I have a German and I have Spanish. But when I go into the bathroom, and it's happened here because I asked my kids, some kids wait to hold the bathroom, is that you have that group that's in there, or a couple of them, that they're worried. You know what I mean? So that's where that comes in. And I tell them, be honest on your survey. Answer it, because that's the only way we're going to fix things. So, if we came from a majority of them having problems to 18 of them, I mean, we're taking those steps. It's all the steps and making them feel comfortable. I feel safer now than when I first came. I came from a background that I did have to worry. And through my life and the choices I have for careers and welding and stuff, those weren't safe for me. But to have Smith stand up and protect and to value those feelings, that's what our fight is. We're fighting for our kids. I stepped in to protect my kids. Even when I go to the chalk block, I tell the kids, my group, and this is honest, I said, you are from Mitchell, we hear the rumors, you follow the instructions I give you so I can keep you safe. And they said, okay, miss, okay, 5 minutes, you got 5 minutes, come back and check on me. Another member of District 11 came around and said, your students crossed the line over there. And I said, what students? And I was like, I'll have a talk with them. So when my kids came back to check in with me, I said, did you guys cross over to the street to go to the bathroom? They said, no, miss. And they all agreed, no, we didn't do that. I said, okay, I'm going to take care of it. You guys stay here. I went and told them that was not Mitchell kids that crossed that line. And you know what? Us standing up for our kids matters. You know what I mean? So it's not, and for me to know that and hear the rumors, and Smith asked me when he hired me afterwards, he said, did you hear the rumors about Mitchell? I said, yeah. But you know what? I chose. That was a choice.
And that's one of the questions. Why are you at Mitchell?
And she drives
That's
every
the
day
stuff-
from Pueblo.
That's
Every
the
day.
stuff we need to hear.
Well, you know what? Because it's the fight. That's the whole thing. I grew up, I had to worry about getting down. Even when I managed, I had to worry about that decision of, hey, you stole from me, that is not happening, this is the repercussion, everybody has a consequence. And that's why I tell my kids, you have a choice, but you have a consequence. And those are the choices that we have to teach our kids. Which way am I going to go? Is this the culture I want to live? I'm come from a family of 9. I'm the second to the oldest. My dad left the family when I was 13. Okay, I moved with my dad. My mom, I was taking care of the kids, helping them. It wasn't easy.
I just want to give one more question.
sorry.
No, you're
But
great.
it's like-
I want to get to next
Your
steps
passion
real quick.
absolutely
Yes,
comes
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
thank you
you.
for
Thank
being
you
here.
for sharing.
That does.
No, there's not more so of a question, but a question being answered. It's like, what can we do? I can name within just this year alone. I keep saying it's hands-on. Every opportunity that I've had, Principal Smith, whether the teacher out there, he gave us opportunity to talk to the teachers, to get to the parents. He let us come to the SAC, come to assembly, had us get up in front, so I believe it's hands-on, and you'll get more. To me, that's just on a I don't think a survey is what is going to do it. I think getting hands-on, like she said, going door to door, getting into the classrooms, talking to the teachers, getting results, talking to the students, talking to the parents is where you're going to get results. He even allowed me to at a basketball game, sing the national anthem, but just being out there, the parents saw SAC, so then they see you. Now they will get more relationship, consistency is what's going to make it better.
Do you have any SAC meetings remaining this year?
So we
May 14th.
Yeah. So before we move to action steps, I hear that you're upset, and apparently it's from what I said before I left. So if that is so.
I wouldn't say I'm upset, but continue.
So if I've offended you or upset you in any way right now, I am publicly and currently apologizing to you. I hear that the words you remember me saying are fairly well, which is not the message I was trying to convey. I was trying to say that what Mr. Biz just said, we want to be hands-on, we want to make relationship. The survey was to be supportive. That's my understanding of the survey. I wasn't real involved, I don't know the questions, I don't know how it got outside of the SAC, but if I've offended you by what I said tonight, I apologize. I was trying to convey the message that we want to be supportive and make relationship with your staff. Inclusive of you, by the way, you are staff. Right?
Apology accepted. I was more offended by the fact that I felt like most of my staff would be offended when they hear that, but I appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Can I
Thank
say one thing?
Please.
I think the passion that sits around this table here is very special. What you guys need is to get together. And I wrote down very big here, engagement plan, and if you look for next steps, I think that's what you guys have to come together for next year and reduce to be a part of your USIP, and you hold each other accountable to that. I feel like that is the next steps of like not fighting against each other, but how committed, and even if there's a small group of people that isn't quite on board, but how can you bring them on board? And that's when you make a plan that works for everyone, because sometimes when things change, they change with a small group, then more, and then you have that big effect that then pulls everybody along. You're in that verge of where you can get to that pulling everybody along. So I think that's what you truly want to do, and letting go of this like, but why, focus on how can we do it. That's what I'm hearing from all this conversation.
I think the next immediate action though, and I don't want to speak out of turn, so please correct me, would be you're working on your USIP development in early May. We're doing that May 5th. And so then the next SAC meeting on the 14th would be some SAC input on the USIP. I think there's data right here. You all say we're really well versed in 5E, that's wonderful. Then we can have some inputs of that in potentially MIS2. And to Marion's point, MIS2 is about engagement. And so there, from this conversation, there is great impact that can go into MIS2. I do think that's going to need to be broken down, and I think I see this SAC benefiting from additional structures that are very clear on roles and responsibilities. What is George's to execute on as the principal of the school, and where is the SAC giving feedback and input and requesting more information, that then you can have that give and take in the rapport and the relationship, so that it doesn't need to be over here and over there in corners, because we all know this is really evidence too that it can hurt culture. Everything we say and everything we do, we make a daily choice whether it can hurt or help culture. And I think what Mitchell needs is everyone rallied around it to make it even better.
I agree.
So it sounds like next actions will be on May 14th during your SAC meeting. Are you prepared that that's part of the agenda that day? I'm not sure who sets it. Is some USIP work?
Part of the issue this year with this SAC has been that me and the co-chairs have not consistently sat down to debrief or prepare agendas this whole school year.
So that's a structure that I would say needs to be put in place first and
It
foremost. I
happened
think
in
that,
the past.
yeah, I think that communication could shore up a lot of where this ends up miscommunication.
I would agree with that.
And George, I have a thought for a structure that we can talk about tomorrow actually in our meeting that could help with some clear delineation about roles, responsibilities, who owns what, who gives input on what. It's an ARPI model, similar to the one we're using in a different place.
Absolutely.
I'll bring that tomorrow when we meet, and we can talk about whether that could help with bringing everyone together in a common purpose and some clear definitions of things for this group.
I appreciate it.
See how many people you got on the table on a Thursday night, and so if you need additional time to talk about those things, I'm pretty sure your SAC is engaged enough to say then, I'm happy to come even when school already ended, we're happy to come in another time. So you're welcome to have more than one meeting for the rest of the school year. So you got to do what you got to do to get the work done.
And according to CRS, all of the meetings have to be public and announced.
Yeah, but you can put that out in the newsletter.
Yeah.
And, or on the website. You guys have good net website.
And I proposed a May agenda to Mr. Bibbs, Mr. Beth, and Sharon a month ago, and I haven't received any feedback either, so.
So there's miscommunication everywhere, we could tighten up.
And maybe it would be worth the last 10 minutes of every meeting being to bake the next agenda right there, so that it isn't a follow-up that people have to walk away and do, and then we understand we all lead very busy lives and it can fall off. And if it's done in meeting, then there's less risk of miscommunication or someone missing an email.
Well, that works to a point, but there are some between meeting and during the month things that come up, right? I mean, I don't think any meeting that ever happens knows exactly what's gonna happen a month ahead of time.
Typically, people could put a section at the end that says like, I see that marked as like AOB for any other business, and then you reserve time to say exactly that point. We know a couple other things are gonna come up, and they can go in this section where we've already secured time, but it would still give you the majority of the meeting would be planned rather than not.
Absolutely, and good news for us, we actually did that in the April meeting, as far as I know. I think we sort of summed up what the May meeting would look like. Do people agree?
I think it might be worth checking back in on before that May meeting, just given how heated this evening became. That might be a good, sometime between now and May 14th, is that what you said?
Yeah.
A quick touch point, 15, 20 minutes to say, where are we at with those topics? Is this still the best thinking on this?
And I know for next year as well, so Marion had a kind of thing of maybe that engagement place is a great one. I agree with that. And the other thing I would say is the DAC is working over the summer on additional guidance for both principals and SAC in how this partnership works. And so I think that will be coming out too. What did you all say you would finish it over the summer? The hub work?
Not this week, Nicole.
This summer. So that could be something we can look forward to in the fall as well.
And of course, we're gonna keep having SAC workshops, and as any SAC has the right to reach out to us at the DAC, and with all the members we have available at the DAC to support you throughout this journey. So you can reach out to the DAC too, because like things aren't running smooth, can you come and we can plan together or whatever, can you help us get better? Any you could do that. We have people, and it may not be me, but we'll have enough experienced people to support you all in this journey. And I mean, Laura and I, we already talked, and I said, you got this, and we'll figure this out, right?
Thank
And
you.
we have all resources.
I apologize we ran over, it's quite over so
Thank
much.
you, Nicole and
Thank
Sherry, for
you.
being
That's
here.
how we roll.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't realize you guys were still going. This is Emily.
Thank you.
I will be coming for you. I'm excited. Yeah, he told me to come in and find you, that's why I would have waited until. So, okay. Thank you.